What's going on, everyone? John the Zaz here. Now, I've been wanting to make this video series for quite a while. And this is going to be just an introduction to this idea that I've had, and I figured we'd try to kick it off. And the short and sweet of this series is that I'm going to be on a journey to try to achieve a 100 kill game as an infantry player. For some of you, you may have already achieved this. This might not seem like a big deal to some of you, but for me, I personally haven't even really come that close to that goal yet. To give you a little context, my first Battlefield was Battlefield 1. And I've been playing Battlefield ever since Battlefield 1 came out. So that was back in 2016. And since then, I've gone back and played titles ranging all the way back as far as Bad Company 2, going all the way up to Battlefield 5. And yes, this includes Hardline as well. Hardline being a very recent game that I've tried. To be honest with you, I think the game gets a lot of undeserved hate. Now, even though I've been playing Battlefield for about, almost 5 years now, I don't consider myself necessarily as good of a player as I probably think I should be. To be totally honest, my best stats are in Battlefield 5, and it's only really because I've been playing it the longest. I think I have about 400 or almost 500 hours in that game, by itself, if you just include the time spent in rounds. And actually going back and totaling up the amount of hours I have between all the Battlefield games I've played, if we only include Battlefield 3, 4, 1 and 5, I have about 1,000 hours in the game. So when I kind of total everything up and consider that I've been playing the game for about 5 years and see that I have about 1,000 hours, I don't think I've really progressed to a level where A, that I'm happy with, but B, to a level where I think I should be, considering how much time I have in the game already. I feel like I need to make a bigger push if I want to improve and get to where I want to be. And I figure a really good way of doing this would be to record some gameplay and maybe go over different aspects of my gameplay in a video format for you guys to be able to actually learn something off of as well. Maybe I'll even learn some things as well. I might have realizations looking at certain footage that I didn't realize until I go back and look at it, which is something that I can definitely say will happen to you if you watch a lot of your VODs. And considering that, I figured this would be an interesting way to approach making a video series, as well as helping me improve as a player. So why exactly did I pick 100 kills? Well, it's because I think if I were to go back and look at the most kills I've gotten in a round, it's probably under 70. I don't think I've ever gotten more than 60. I think 68 is the most I've ever gotten across all the Battlefield games. And if you're probably asking why I don't pick a stat I don't know, KD or something like that, it's because if I were to just shoot for going for KD, there are ways that I could kind of just fudge it, you know what I mean? What's stopping me from going into a round and just getting 13 kills and nose deaths as a sniper? And it just doesn't feel like a very meaningful stat to try to boost up. And honestly, I feel like when you're going for a kill count, I feel like you're just it tests you in so many different ways as a player that it's something that you can tangibly look at and say I achieved that, So I figured we kind of outlined some of the stipulations involved with this challenge, I guess we'll call it for now. I have no idea how long it's going to take me to achieve a 100 kill game. For all I know, I could get a 100 kill game in 2 weeks from now, and then this video series will go down the tubes. But I don't think this is necessarily just about getting 100 kills. I think this is meant to be sort of a way to show other players how you can look at your own gameplay, see what you're doing wrong, and then try to fix those mistakes that you make so that you can improve at the game. At the same time, I'm hoping that maybe I could possibly even get some feedback from some of you guys through your own experience. Maybe you will see things that I don't, and then we can kind of bounce things back and forth. Ultimately though, when it comes to Battlefield as a franchise, it's one of the few FPS games I actually enjoy playing, despite some of the more frustrating aspects of the more modern or more recent games. In general, I just seem to enjoy the large-scale aspect of Battlefield and some of the other more niche elements that come along with it. The combined arms, the destruction, just the sandbox nature of it. I feel like I have a lot of different ways to approach situations, and I don't feel like, even though the games do have metas, I don't feel like the metas are so stiff that I have to play certain things or I have to use a certain play style. So now that we've gotten some of that out of the way, why don't we talk about some of the ways that I'm going to kind of lay the ground rules or the stipulations behind this challenge, I guess. First and foremost, this is going to be achieved through infantry gameplay. I'm an infantry player generally. I've tried numerous times to try to get into learning vehicles. I just never found it as fun to do as just playing straight up infantry in this game. I think I'll give myself a little bit of leeway in terms of using vehicles or stationary weapons, because part of Battlefield is using what's around you. However, I don't want to go entire rounds playing as a tank and just getting my 100 kills that way. It just doesn't feel like the way I want to go about achieving it. But if during a round, the situation calls for me to have to hop in a tank for like to capture an objective, then I will, but I'll try to make it a point to like not stick around in it for too long. Another thing is that I don't necessarily want to stick to just playing one Battlefield game. I've spoken to like a lot of like more professional players in the scene. I've also spoken to some other, you know, just avid Battlefield players that have played the game for a long time, and a lot of them seem to be in agreement that there are a lot of general skills within Battlefield that you can transfer between all of its titles. Each game kind of has some of its quirks in terms of their special mechanics. Like in Battlefield 4, like the way movement works is a lot different from the way that it works in other titles. So in regards to the way that movement works in those games, for example, you'll have to adjust your playstyle accordingly. But a lot of the general gameplay loops are the same. You know, the way you have to go about moving around the map to capture points, the way you have to handle positioning. There are all sorts of different strats that other players like to run to try to like overrun you or to, you know, to like box you in and stuff like that. A lot of those things tend to carry over between different titles. So I feel like generally if I can get better at one Battlefield game, like it should transfer between all of them. So I'm not going to limit this challenge necessarily to just playing one Battlefield game. So whenever I put up a VOD, you may not see me putting up just one specific title. I may put up a Battlefield 5 video one week. I may go to Battlefield 4 or maybe even Battlefield 3. And to be honest with you, I feel like that would just make things more interesting instead of just sticking to one title and then just focusing on that one the whole time. This really all boils down to me wanting to build good foundational FPS skills. I want to be able to take those FPS skills and move them over to other games because personally, I'm not really the type of person that likes to just stick to playing just one game all the time. Thankfully, each Battlefield title going from Battlefield 3 up to Battlefield 5 seems to offer us something a little bit different, which has helped keep this franchise fresh for me. Some other things you could expect to see me do when I'm playing these games is that you might see me sticking to a lot of the same weapons. I may go through a bit of an experimentation phase to start out early in the series, but eventually I'm going to find weapons that work best for my playstyle, and I'm going to stick to those. From what I hear, that if you continually play a weapon a lot, you can really learn the mechanics of it. So in that regard, I'm probably going to just end up picking a couple of weapons for whatever class I'm going to be playing in a particular video, and I'm going to just stick with it, so that way I can learn as much as I can about that particular weapon. And while we're on the topic of like specific mechanics, you might even see me focusing on something like an aim training program on certain weeks. I do train Kovacs as well, so you know, you might see me do a video on that every now and then, just to kind of show the different ways that I'd be working on certain aspects of my FPS gameplay. Ultimately, the main takeaway from all of this is going to be like obviously building up all of my skills, but the 100 kill goal is really just meant to be a specific goal that I can shoot for as a sort of metric towards achieving that quote-unquote success. It's a lot easier to say I want to go for 100 kills than it is to say I want to improve, because at the very least there's like a finish line. You can get to that finish line, and then it feels like it's a lot easier to achieve a goal when it's specific as opposed to just like making it general. Eventually you might just find yourself getting burnt out and you just end up putting things down and giving up on it. So hopefully you guys end up finding this video series pretty helpful, as well as I hope it'll be helpful for me. As far as when you can expect the first video, it's going to come in the form of a VOD review, which will come out in probably like a week or two. I'm thinking the first video will kind of just be a general VOD review where we can kind of like, I guess, get a baseline of where I'm sitting right now. We can look at some of the different aspects of my gameplay, kind of look at a lot of the general mistakes that I keep making, repeat offenses and stuff like that, and then we can see what we really need to focus on, and then the following videos after that will be a little more focused on specific skills that I'm trying to work on and improve on. Every now and then you might just see a straight up VOD review type video. You know, sometimes you might just see a more focused one. I want to keep things fairly varied so that way we can cover a lot of ground with it, and, you know, just kind of it'll kind of like highlight a lot of the different aspects of things that you need to work on to become a better player. And I feel like, you know, just mixing it up like that will probably benefit the most amount of people. And overall, I'm just looking forward to this journey, and I really hope that it leads to, you know, achieving my goal. I appreciate y'all taking the time to watch this video. Please be sure to check the description down below. You can get all my social information. You can join my Discord, which I'm currently overhauling at the moment. You can even get a link to my Twitch channel. I even occasionally do VOD reviews on my stream. So if you guys want to hop in and you want to like follow along with my progress, that's a pretty good place to do so. I stream mostly on the weekends, so hopefully I can see you guys then. And also, if you have any suggestions or questions, please be sure to just let me know down in the comments below. Be happy to try to answer any of your questions, and I'm definitely open to suggestions as far as like some things I could try to do in the videos, or even things that I can try to employ to try to help me improve the game. And if you like what you saw, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Also be sure to hit the bell icon for notifications to be notified whenever I upload to the channel. I appreciate you all taking the time to watch this video. Thank you very much, and y'all have a pleasant day.